In the shadow of eternity, when chaos still murmured across the waters of creation, there emerged one of the most mysterious and profound deities of the Egyptian pantheon, Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, and divine knowledge. Known to the Egyptians as Jehuti, Thoth was not merely a god among gods. He was the mind of Ra, the scribe of the heavens, and the one who measured the balance of the universe itself. In ancient depictions, Thoth appeared in two sacred forms: the ibis-headed man, carrying a stylus and scroll, and sometimes as the wise baboon, watching the stars in silence. Both forms reflected his dual nature, the contemplative intellect and the vigilant observer of time. Thoth was said to have been born from the lips of Ra, the sun god, at the dawn of creation. From the moment of his birth, he spoke words that shaped the very laws of reality. It was said that through Thoth's speech, the order of Maat, truth, balance, and harmony came into being. He became the divine mediator between light and darkness, order and chaos, gods and men. In the court of the gods, when conflicts arose between Horus and Set, or when the scales of justice trembled, it was Thoth who brought equilibrium. He recorded every word spoken, every judgment given, ensuring that truth would endure for eternity. Legends describe him as the heart and tongue of Ra, the intellect that guides divine will into form. If Ra was the light of the sun, then Thoth was the reflection of that light upon the mind. He was the keeper of sacred knowledge, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, architecture, and the power of words themselves. He taught men how to write, how to speak the names of the gods, and how to understand the rhythms of time. The Egyptians revered him as the inventor of hieroglyphs, the language of divine truth carved into stone. Each symbol, each mark, was a spark of creation, a living fragment of his cosmic thought. Thoth was also deeply connected to the moon, the eye that sees what the sun cannot. He measured the cycles of the stars, marking the passage of days, months, and years. Through his calculations, the Egyptians built calendars that synchronized their lives with the pulse of the cosmos. In some myths, Thoth was born not of Ra, but from the forehead of Set, or from the seed of Horus, symbolizing the unity of opposites, order and chaos, giving birth to wisdom. In others, he was self-created, an eternal presence, older than the gods themselves, the voice of reason before the first dawn. As the divine scribe, Thoth held the sacred title, He Who Balances, for he weighed both the hearts of men and the fates of nations. He stood beside the scales in the hall of judgment, recording whether a soul was light as a feather or heavy with sin. It was his quill that decided if a name would be remembered or erased from the book of life. No god was more trusted with divine order than Thoth. Even the mighty Ra depended on him to speak the words that sustained creation. When Ra grew weary and wished to rest in the underworld, it was Thoth who guided the sun god through the 12 hours of night, ensuring that dawn would return. In his essence, Thoth was both creator and witness, the mind that observes and the voice that defines. Through him, knowledge was not only divine but eternal, echoing across time in every written word, every measured star, every truth spoken by the wise. Throughout the ages, Thoth's wisdom did not remain locked within the heavens. He shared fragments of it with humanity, carefully, deliberately, as though each word could reshape the world. The ancients spoke of his sacred writings, the books of Thoth, texts so powerful that whoever read them could command the earth, the sea, and even the stars. They said these books contained the secrets of creation itself, the names of the gods, the language of the soul, and the keys to eternal life. It was whispered that Thoth inscribed these truths not upon paper, but upon the fabric of the universe. Every symbol, every spell, every equation was a mirror of divine order. To read them was to see through the eyes of the gods, but such knowledge came with danger, for wisdom without balance becomes destruction, and even Thoth, the master of Maat, knew this truth. Legends tell that he hid his most sacred books, sealing them deep beneath the Nile, or within secret chambers in the temples of Hermopolis. Only the worthy, pure of heart, and balanced in spirit, could find them. In time, mortal scribes, priests, and scholars began to call upon Thoth's name before writing or studying. They believed that every act of learning was an act of worship, that to seek knowledge was to walk in Thoth's shadow. It was he who taught mankind to count the stars, to measure the flow of time, to build calendars that guided harvests and rituals. He inspired physicians to heal, architects to create, and astronomers to map the heavens. Every craft that required thought and precision was said to be touched by his spirit. Through Thoth, writing itself became sacred. Each symbol carved into stone was not just language, it was magic. The power to bind reality through the word. To speak with clarity was to shape destiny. To write truth was to echo the mind of the divine. The Greeks later came to know Thoth by another name, Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes. They saw in him the union of reason and spirit, the bridge between human intellect and divine wisdom. Through this fusion, the ancient Egyptian teachings evolved into what became known as Hermetic philosophy, the foundation of alchemy, astrology, and sacred geometry. From these teachings came a single truth that echoed across centuries: as above, so below; as within, so without. A principle that defines not only magic, but the very harmony between the cosmos and the soul. It is said that even when Egypt's temples fell and its gods were forgotten, the spirit of Thoth did not fade. It lived on in secret schools of mystery, in the libraries of philosophers, and in the whispers of the wise. He became the eternal mentor, guiding those who sought truth beyond illusion, reminding them that the universe itself is written in divine script, and that understanding it begins not in the heavens, but in the heart. In the grand theater of Egyptian mythology, wisdom was not silent. It moved, it acted, it shaped the destinies of gods and men alike, and no god embodied that truth more perfectly than Thoth. When chaos rose, he brought balance. When war raged, he restored peace. When even the gods were lost in fury or despair, it was Thoth's calm eternal voice that guided them back to order. There was a time when humankind turned away from the light of Ra, forgetting reverence and truth. Angered, Ra released his vengeance through Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war and destruction. She descended upon Egypt like a living storm of blood and fire, her wrath consuming everything in her path. Even the gods trembled before her fury. Yet it was Thoth who stepped forward, not with weapons, but with wisdom. With divine cunning, he crafted a drink, a mixture of beer and pomegranate juice, colored red like blood, and poured it across the sands. When Sekhmet found it, her rage blinded her judgment. Believing it to be the blood of her victims, she drank deeply until her thirst for battle dissolved into laughter and song. Through intellect, not violence, Thoth had saved creation. That moment became eternal, a reminder that wisdom could calm even divine fury. From then on, the Egyptians celebrated this miracle in the festival of drunkenness, honoring the god whose understanding restored life to the world. But peace was fleeting. Another storm soon swept through the heavens when Tefnut, the fiery goddess of moisture and daughter of Ra, abandoned Egypt in anger, fleeing to the distant lands of Nubia. Her absence plunged the world into drought and despair. The rivers dried, the skies dimmed, and Ra, weakened and grieving, turned to Thoth once again. The wise god took the form of a humble baboon and journeyed through endless deserts to find her. He did not command, he reasoned. He spoke softly of love, of harmony, of the balance that held all creation together. It is said he asked her to return 1,077 times before she finally agreed. Together they returned to Egypt, greeted with celebration and music, and the union of gods was restored once more. Thoth's patience had triumphed where force could not, proving again that true power lies in wisdom, not might. Yet Thoth's greatest test came with the death of Osiris, the beloved god of order and life, who was murdered and dismembered by his jealous brother Set, the god of chaos. Darkness fell over the land as Isis, Osiris's wife, searched for his body, guided by grief and devotion. It was Thoth who stood beside her, whispering sacred words, weaving the language of resurrection into the fabric of existence. Together with Isis, Nephthys, and Anubis, Thoth gathered the scattered pieces of Osiris and performed divine rituals to restore him. Through Thoth's magic, Osiris's spirit was revived, allowing him to father a child. Horus, the falcon of justice and light, destined to avenge his father and restore balance to the cosmos. When the time came for Horus to challenge Set, Thoth served as the divine judge, ensuring that truth guided every trial. He was impartial and fair, bound not by loyalty to either god but by his devotion to Maat, the eternal order that governed heaven and earth. When Horus finally triumphed, it was Thoth who recorded the verdict in his sacred scrolls, marking the restoration of harmony to creation. Thoth's influence did not end with the living. In the halls of the afterlife, where the souls of the dead awaited judgment before Osiris, It was Thoth who presided over the ceremony known as the weighing of the heart. Each soul stood before the great scales, their heart placed on one side, and the feather of Maat on the other. If the heart was pure, light, and balanced, the soul would pass into eternal peace. If heavy with sin, it would be devoured by Maat, the beast of judgment. Thoth, the divine scribe, recorded every outcome with perfect precision, ensuring that cosmic justice was upheld. His presence was both fearsome and comforting, for in his gaze there was no deceit, no favoritism, only truth. To the Egyptians, this was not just a myth. It was the moral compass of life itself, a reminder that every thought and action would one day be weighed in the scales of eternity. In every temple across Egypt, Thoth's name echoed through the prayers of scribes, priests, and kings. They sought his guidance in writing, medicine, astronomy, and the governance of the land. He was called the Lord of Time, the Keeper of the Moon, the Scribe of the Gods, the Voice of Ra, and the Master of Words. His temples were not places of worship alone, but sanctuaries of learning, where knowledge was revered as divine. He taught humankind to measure the heavens, to heal the sick, to count the days and stars, and to inscribe memory into stone. To know Thoth was to know the order of the universe. Even when the temples fell and the sands swallowed the monuments, Thoth's wisdom endured. The Greeks called him Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice great, seeing in him the union of thought, word, and spirit. His teachings became the foundation of Hermetic philosophy, alchemy, and sacred science. Through his name, humanity learned one timeless truth: as above, so below, as within, so without. It was the essence of harmony, the reflection between the cosmos and the soul. And so, through the ages, Thoth's light has never faded. His voice still echoes in every pursuit of truth, in every act of understanding, in every written word that seeks meaning. He is not merely a god of the past, but the eternal symbol of intellect, balance, and divine wisdom, the mind of the universe itself, whispering softly to those who dare to seek. Yet even now, millennia after the temples have turned to dust and the names of kings are forgotten, the essence of Thoth still lingers in the quiet places of the world. In every library, in every equation, in every search for truth, his presence can still be felt, subtle, patient, eternal. He is the whisper behind every breakthrough, the still voice guiding the thinker through the storm of ignorance. For Thoth was never merely a god carved in stone. He was an idea, the living spirit of knowledge itself. And ideas, unlike monuments, never die. They move from one generation to the next, transforming, evolving, reborn, each time a curious mind dares to ask, why? When we seek understanding, when we balance reason and faith, when we write, study, create, or simply gaze into the stars and wonder, we walk once more in the shadow of Thoth. His story, though ancient, is not over. It continues in us, in the endless pursuit of wisdom that defines what it means to be human. For as long as there are questions, as long as there is thought, Thoth will never be forgotten.